we're recording this just a day after World Press Freedom Day, and what I saw over the past couple of days was a lot of people celebrating the journalists in Gaza, celebrating their hard work and their very important work over the past year and a half, but also mourning a lot of the journalists who have been killed. So when World Press Freedom Day comes about, I think what press freedom, especially in a place like Palestine, in Gaza in particular, under Israel's brutal occupation, the number of journalists that's been killed in the past year and a half is more than any other journalist in any other conflict ever recorded. So something like World Press Freedom, when it comes about, you think it should be such a brilliant thing. Like, press should have freedom, and journalism is such an important profession, but then it's crushed and it's silenced because of how powerful it is, because of how powerful Palestinian journalists are and their voice and their documentation of what Israel's been doing. And there's nothing, it's not complicated. Like, they literally, some of them, they pull out their phones, they record what's happening, they document what's happening, they talk about what's happening, and Israel targets them for that. So World Press Freedom Day, it is very important, but it comes about almost ironically at this time, because what we're seeing is people being targeted for this exact thing, for them trying to do their job as journalists, such an important job at such an important time, and they're targeted for it. And then you have, on the other end of the spectrum, the journalism that doesn't do its job as journalism. Our job as journalists is to tell the story accurately. If you see something happened, you just report what's happened, and you contextualize it. You add a bit of context to it, but yeah.
How many have died so far?
I think over
Killed,
200.
sorry.
Over 200 journalists have been killed. Yeah, some of them I knew, and it's heartbreaking. It's shocking. They were so young as well. That's like all of them are. It's sad and it's heartbreaking, but it's particularly sad when it's somebody your age, somebody who you've spoken to.
Yeah, it's like you told me about Hussam
Shabbat. Yeah,
How old was he?
he was 23.
So it's you and him would have started your journeys together, and then I don't know if you were in contact with him.
I was, yeah.
So you were in contact with him, and you must have imagined that this is a relationship you'd have for decades.
Definitely, exactly. I hope to meet him. I hope to thank him and tell him how proud I was of him. Yeah, exactly. You're kind of starting your trajectory at the same time, in very different circumstances. Yeah. But you learn from him. He kind of works with you. You complement each other. He didn't speak that much English, so having contact with English-speaking journalists is very, very important. Yeah, he's younger than me, and I learned so much from him. But then, yeah, we started our journalism careers very, very similar time. But then his is cut short because of how good he was as a journalist, because of how brave as well. I really have to emphasize, these guys are so brave. They go to places where it's their life is on the line, and unfortunately they knew that. Yeah.
You made a video, I think it was a few months back, where you asked some people going to a Palestine march about which journalists they like that really inspired them or like mean the most to them.
Yeah.
And we had several answers. And at the time, I was a bit flustered, so I kind of I mentioned Anas Sharifan because he was in the north and he never left, and he went through so much.
Yeah.
But there's a name that I'm not sure if it was mentioned in the video, but I don't know his full name, but Aboud.
Oh, Aboud Battah.
Yes.
Legend. Yeah.
How old is that guy?
I think he's about 18.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the war, he looked about 18, but now he looks like a 25-year-old. He's aged a lot. He's grown as a young man, but he does journalism in a very ironic, like kind of light-hearted way at times, but also he's very serious when it comes down to it. I think he personifies the people of Gaza very well. He's very strong, very resilient, and very outspoken and unapologetic, completely unapologetic about who he is and where they are. And it's crazy how well it's received across the world. Like, somebody so young, 18, and he's able to tell the story of Gaza in a way that resonates with people across the world. But it's hard to describe. Like, it's so powerful because there's a lot of irony in it, and he takes the mick a lot. Like
Yeah.
he does actually say things in quite a satirical way.
He got famous because he would say the situation is iced coffee.
Yes,
What the iced coffee?
the iced coffee jokes.
Yeah.
When he's standing on the rubble of his home, and when in Jabalia, when all the homes around him are bombed, but they're still like, this is our situation. It's horrific. It's insane, but we're not going to let them crush our spirits. I think that's the biggest message that they send. Yeah.
In your correspondence to the several journalists, did you get a feeling of why they started their journalism?
I think it's maybe in some ways what anybody else would do in that situation. It's you're seeing what's happening to you, your family, your home, your people, and you have this phone, and you have a platform, and you can build a platform, and you can tell the world, this is what's happening to us. You guys need to do something in the outside world. And I think anybody else in that situation would do that, and you would try to do it to the best of your capabilities and do it in a way that you hope would change the kind of the situation and the circumstances for yourself, and the situation and the circumstances outside, for people to be moved. They want the world to move. They are literally, they say it. They're like, move, do something about this. Otherwise, we're going to get killed. And you guys are going to be stood around doing nothing whilst we get killed. And that makes you, in ways, maybe almost complicit in what's happening, or like you become useless in a situation where you have a bit of agency on the outside world, and you're not doing enough. So yeah, that's how I think a lot of them got into it. Obviously, there's some people who, everyone uses social media in their own ways, but then when this becomes your life, you document it and you post about it in a way that you feel will have impact. And yeah, it's quite powerful. And I mean, if somebody did that and people didn't interact with it, engage with it, and it didn't resonate with people, then I think there would be a different conversation to be had. But these people have millions of followers. Abud is 18 years old. He had 3 million followers. I'm not saying it's quantified by how many followers you have, but clearly this resonated with people. This was something that had a huge impact on people's lives. And subhanAllah, it's character. It's some people are blessed with very good character, and he has a very cool character.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's the people of Gaza and Gaza itself in an embodiment. Like, not just him, many others in Gaza, of course, but we've always known the people of Gaza, with everything that they've gone through, they're kind of different. Like, they have a different, we say colloquially, they're built different, but it's because the difficult circumstances, they force you to be a certain way, and it's tough. It's very, very tough, but it forces you to kind of resist and be resilient in a way that is admirable.
Yeah.
Very, very admirable. Many of the things that they've been through, I think many people who haven't lived in Gaza or haven't endured difficulty, they would crack. They would completely be finished, defeated. And I'm not saying that people in Gaza aren't, like a lot of people. This is too much for them. This is too much for anybody to experience. But they keep going because there's no option as well. There's no other option.
Yeah, I think one of the most inspirational things for me is the fact that, like you said, they are documenting what's going on to get it to the outside world, so the outside world can do something. But unfortunately, for the last 18 months, the outside world has done virtually nothing.
I would disagree. I think the world has changed.
Well, the world
in the
has
past
changed,
year and a half,
but
yeah.
I mean,
and we both know the world has absolutely
when
changed.
you're sitting in Gaza and the genocide is still ongoing, and you must feel at a certain point that people are not moving the way they should be moving, yet the journalists continue to push the message out.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, for all intents and purposes, the situation from purely material kind of analysis maybe
hasn't changed.
It's kind of hopeless.
Because the way I would kind of describe that is, these people in Gaza are doing their job. They're fulfilling their purpose. And as I said, there is almost no other option, but they are doing something that is changing the world. The journalists, the humanitarian workers, many of the other people there, they're doing something that is changing the outside world. And many of the other people across the world they're not fulfilling their purpose. Everybody has a duty at the moment to do something in your respected field, whatever it may be. if you're a journalist, if you're a humanitarian worker, if you're a doctor, if you're an architect, many different professions and skill sets, everybody could be doing something to improve the situation, to end the situation, the lawyers and the prosecutors across the world. But it is very unfortunate that these people are working very hard, but on the outside, well, a lot of people are. We have to respect, we have to acknowledge that. The world has changed. The amount of protests, the boycotting campaigns, the legal work, the legal precedents that have been set for Israel to be taken to the ICJ and the ICC arrest warrants, and all the different campaigns that have happened over the past year and a half. The world has definitely changed, but I don't think the rest of the world is built like people in Gaza, to be honest.